This can be very destructive. Both of these were hugely transformative for me. It 100% doesn't work. I only ended up accomplishing. Now it has to go in God tier immediately. This is a difficult one. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Zain. I study at the University of Manchester and I'm starting medicine there this fall. In today's video, I'll be doing a tier list of 11 time management strategies that I've used, my friends have used, and people like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates have used as well. We'll be ranking them based on three things: practicality, efficiency, and my personal experience. The tiers we're ranking them on today are: firstly, Elon Musk level time management, God tier. Second, banger. Third, decent. Fourth, meh. And lastly, stinker. Let's get straight into it. The first one we're starting off with is time blocking. And yes, this is a difficult one. People like Elon Musk, Cal Newport, and Bill Gates swear by this. They literally pre-plan their entire day based on 5-minute increments, 5-minute block of times. Now, even though dividing your entire day up like this is really helpful when you have high pressure weeks with exams and multiple commitments, that's when it really worked for me in the past, to be honest. It gives you structure, it gives you direction, it gives you flow, but most of the time, that's just not how daily life is. And for me personally, to be honest, I don't think I can be bothered with actually structuring my time so rigidly. I'd rather just give myself a block in the day to get my 4 to 5 hours of work done, and then just spend the rest of the day doing the things I like or doing spontaneous things with the people I know, like that sort of thing. But it does work perfectly when you have a lot of stuff going on, when you have a lot of balls up in the air, so it definitely doesn't go anywhere below banger. The next one is Pomodoro. This is very common, but it's also very effective. It's basically when you study or you work for 25-minute intervals and then take a break for 5 minutes, or 15-minute intervals of working and then 10 minutes of break. After doing this, you just repeat the process until you get a good few hours of work in. In theory, this is really good because it gives you work time, it gives you rest time, it is a good mix. And it does help with getting out of a rut, starting new things up, and getting through like difficult topics that you have to do. But it has a lot of drawbacks because of that break. Let me explain. So in first year, I used to go with my friend to the library, we'd get a bunch of work done, we'd take the breaks in between, use the Pomodoro method, but even though it worked in the beginning, it started to get a lot less effective because we just start extending the breaks. And the thing is, because I was taking so many breaks in between, the work just expanded to take up the whole day. And it really does disrupt your flow state when you're working hard on something. You have to actively take your concentration away and then bring it back. So at maximum, it can't go in the top 2 tiers. It has to go in decent. I'm not gonna put it any lower because it is really helpful, but decent. It doesn't hit higher than that. The next one is big. It's to-do lists and to-do list systems. I have been trying a lot of things with to-do lists, making weekly ones, daily ones, and seeing how they work. And in the last few months, I think I've finally found a solid system that works for me, and it's really done wonders if I think about it. Now, it has to go in God tier immediately. I might make a video on this later, but what I do is I make a list of weekly tasks that I need to complete, and these weekly tasks can only be tasks related to my top 2 or 3 projects or commitments going on. Let's say one of them could be medical school, one of them would be an internship, the other one would be this YouTube channel, and the tasks would purely be based on those 2 or 3 high priority commitments, nothing else. That very strong weekly task list gets funneled down into daily tasks. And the way I do this is I actually send a message to my friend with my daily tasks on that message, and I limit those daily tasks again to maximum 4 to 5 tasks. It could be even 1 or 2. I could say no tasks at all in that message. But the point is that I use that person as an accountability partner, and he does the same thing. So we send this daily task message to each other every day, whether it has no tasks on it or 5 on them. The accountability thing really doesn't work with most friends. But if you find that person, no matter where they are in the world, if you find that person that can drive you forward, is on the same wavelength as you, and can really help you, then I would really suggest accountability. It just changes the game. So yeah, God tier, 100%. The next one is a might-do list. Ooh, this is related to to-do lists. And you may not know what a might-do list is, but it's basically how most of us always do to-do lists, which is just writing down a huge list of tasks. I made this huge list of tasks every day in the past for 3 months during quarantine sometime. It 100% doesn't work. I only ended up accomplishing maybe 30% or 40% of the stuff on there, purely because I never looked at that list after I made it at the beginning of the day. These might-do lists just don't work. I'm putting them in stinker because of how poorly they work for me. They're not efficient. There's such a massive amount of things on there, and I don't think I'm good at actually deciding what I need to do, when I need to do it, and prioritizing. And a proper to-do list system, if you can figure out how to do that, that is God tier. But doing it this way is just not ideal. Stinker. Next up we have is tech hacks. This is stuff like learning how to type faster. This is stuff like using Alfred, different apps to optimize the work process, lower your friction when you're doing your work. And I've tried all of this. Text expansion, shortcuts, everything. It does really help, and it does have good impact on reducing your friction when you're working. But as a time management strategy, if this was the only thing that I was doing, I don't think I'd be that much more effective, even over time. It is really good to reduce friction though, so it doesn't get stinker, it gets meh. I'm not putting in decent because it doesn't match things like Pomodoro. Alright, next up we have Pareto's principle, 80-20 rule. Actually, I think I'm going to group up Parkinson's law with the 80-20 rule. I think they're quite similar in a way. I think they're going to go in the same tier. This principle says that 80% of the results come from 20% of your inputs. Then we have Parkinson's law. This is a huge law that talks about how work expands to fill the time that you give it. Both of these were hugely transformative for me. Literally with any skill I was learning, any work that I was doing, any project I was starting, they really are important mindsets that you should ideally know how to implement as well. But at the end of the day, they're only mindsets. And I know a lot of people who know about them but don't know how to implement them or can't be bothered to implement them in their day. So it's practically useless to them as a time management strategy. If you do want to learn how to implement these in your day, then check out my previous video, how I work less and still accomplish more, right up here. As revolutionary as both of these were for me, unless you know the fact that the 80-20 rule only means to do the vital few things that you need to do in the day, and unless you know that Parkinson's law means filling your day up with stuff other than work so you have less time to do work, unless you know these practical techniques to implement these, it really can't fall in the god tier level, so I'm gonna have to put it in banger because both of these were still so big for me. Yeah. Deep work. This is another big thing that I talked about in my previous video, so I won't take too much time explaining it. But basically, deep work for me is 3 to 4 hours of focused, uninterrupted work on a task without any distractions. For deep work to actually be effective, for you to actually get in that flow state, the work that you're doing has to be meaningful to you. It has to be one of those things that you really care about. This isn't the sort of time management strategy that you'll get immediately. It comes over time as you practice, as you gradually learn to draw yourself away from distractions while you work, and as you learn to focus more. This immediately goes in God tier for me. There's no question about it. It isn't an easy thing to implement, but gradually the stuff you get done in those 3 to 4 hours will be so much more than what it used to be. And because of that, because it's such a huge time saver now, it's going in God tier. Has to. The next one is going with the flow, and it isn't really a time management strategy because, as you can probably guess, it means just going with the flow and not really having a solid plan. And as much as it could go horribly wrong when you have a lot of stuff going on, going with the flow is kind of nice. It is a bit more chill, and it is nice to not have to plan your day with rigid structure. The way I kind of do this is that occasionally when I don't really want to work that day, or when I don't really want a structured list of things to do that day, I just send that daily message out saying no tasks, or maybe putting one task on there and leave it up to my mood. This can be very destructive, but personally not having a plan is also nice. So it goes in meh, and it definitely can't go in that decent Pomodoro Technique level, no. Now batching. This is when you group up a bunch of similar tasks and do them at one time. Whether it's doing your research all at one time, getting your emails done at one time. But for academic purposes, for studying, I don't think it really does make a difference if I do some sort of studying at one time and then do all of my research at the other time for the essay. And personally, I don't think I know how to do this well. I thought I did, but I don't think I do know, because for me it doesn't really work when I do studying or when I'm writing an essay. I don't just get through all of the research done first and then start writing. It's kind of a mixed process for me where I start writing, then do some research, then write a bit more. But since I started this YouTube channel, what I'm supposed to be doing apparently is to have an idea generation system, then having a day to plan 4 of these ideas, then having another day to film 4 of those ideas. And in theory, it does make sense, but what I've been doing right now is just taking it as a project one at a time. Whereas really, I feel like with creative processes, batching would work a lot. But I can't put it in the first two top tiers because I don't know how to use it as well as most do. And I think this will change over time once I get more practice and once I get better at this. But it goes in decent. It still has those drawbacks for me, but it's a work in progress, I think. And lastly, we have setting up rewards. It is basic. It is just giving yourself a bit of food, a bit of Netflix, a bit of phone time, whatever your tiny bit of reward is after you work. And it does kind of work when you have a boring task and you're just at the end of the day and you want to go like, you know what, I'm gonna finish this off in the next hour and then I'm gonna chill for the rest of the day and watch Netflix and order food. And that does work. It feels good. But in most cases, motivating yourself with a bunch of chocolates or a bit of Netflix time at the end of the day just sounds like we're treating ourselves as if we're 12. And I think that there's much more sustainable, better motivations that you could have. I wouldn't put it in sticker because it is kind of nice. I'd put it in meh. It falls well in that category. I think we've done well here. This is a nice holistic view of what I think is practical and efficient, as well as something that works for me. This was me tier listing or ranking time management strategies top to bottom. If you want to dive straight into the details of how I implement deep work as my main strategy and how I've hardwired the 80-20 rule and Parkinson's law to work less and still get way more done, then check this video out. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe for more content in the future, and as always, I'll see you next week. Bye bye.